Professor Weinstein has an exceptional and distinguished academic record. He's an Emeritus Professor from INSEAD, and I welcome him to deliver the inaugural address today. Sorry, is it the keynote address? The keynote address followed by the inaugural address.
And address.
Okay.
Thank you. So I need to get the file up here. Can you help me with the file, please? When my wife is very upset at me, she calls me Professor Weinstein. So every time I'm called Professor Weinstein, I know I'm in trouble. I'm honored by this event. I came to India for the first time in 1974 as a young assistant professor with his very first consulting opportunity. I spent 3 weeks in this country. Since then, I came in and out on various tours. Community. So this for me is a discovery. This conclave, your interest, and this is a hit or miss proposition. In other words, I was trying to find out what is it that I can say that would be of interest for you, and what is it that I can say with credibility. So I hope you find an interest in what I have to say, and I hope that there will be some questions and answers period that you would be interested. And let's get going. I really will talk about my view of this topic, and this is B2B, or business to business, strategic marketing education, with one blind spot, and this is India. I don't really know much about business marketing education here, although some of my cases and the simulation I developed has been used here. My host is Rajiv from KNOLSKAPE. We are promoting the simulation here to business schools, to companies. So that is really a start for me, and I hope this will continue and emerge into something significant. Before I get into the few slides that I have, I need to give you a context so you can see where I'm going. When I started my doctoral program, sometimes in the Middle Ages, I was trained by the best B2C professors in the world. I was at Columbia University in New York. I was working as a research assistant with somebody that many of you probably know, Jagdish Sheth, who is very well known in our field, with somebody called John Howard, who is probably the father of consumer behavior, with John Farley, who introduced econometrics into consumer behavior. So some of the leading minds, and I was like any doctoral student, very fascinated and taken by all this. And then I graduated. I published my articles from the dissertation. I was very successful within the limits of somebody who just graduated. And then I decided to move to INSEAD in Fontainebleau. And very quickly I found myself in executive education classes teaching executives who liked what I did. They liked my teaching, they liked my material, they felt they learned a lot, but a comment came back always: this was really great, but my world is a little different. My world of B2B is a little different. We are in a very different world. So yes, you are saying the concepts are universal: segmentation, positioning, the customer's behavior. So I'm living here very stimulated and entertained, but I really don't know what to do on Monday morning, because the week we spent was not in an environment that I am familiar with. And I kept getting this back and back and back until I decided after 4 or 5 years, you know, in the academic world, you have to pay your dues. You have to publish before you take a risk and change direction. And 4 or 5 years after getting hit by all these comments again and again and again, I decided to make a switch and decided to go into the B2B space, which is a great risk for an academic. I'll discuss it later on. And the rest is history, because I had a blast of a career in the B2B space. Enjoyed it very much. And now, after 40 years in INSEAD, I think I have something to say about where this field is going. So let me start. First of all, let's define B2B. It's very important because the audience here, you have some marketing people, some non-marketing people, and I need to explain why is it that I think we have the issues that I think we have. So let's try to define it. When we say B2B, we used to call it industrial marketing. Today, it's a little more modern to call it B2B. The main idea is that your target for your marketing is an organization rather than an individual. And that, of course, creates a lot of complexities. In organizations, you have people that are paid to make decisions about you, the marketer. So you have different decision makers. Everyone looks at the decision on a supplier or on a product that they have to buy from a different perspective. They also bring in their personalities, their experience, their perceptions, their past experience with you and with others. So all this complexity coming in means that you deal with an organization and with a decision-making process and a structure of decision-making with people who have played games, with people, for instance, who are less rational than the housewife going to the supermarket. A lot of research has shown that the housewife going to the supermarket is probably more rational than professionals buying large-ticket items. And the reason is very simple. The professionals face an enormous personal risk if they make a mistake. Not that the housewife is not facing risk, but if you bought something that brought down the factory to a halt or created a problem, you're personally exposed. So people are having all kinds of strategies to reduce the risk, and of course a lot of this creates anxiety, and people are less than rational. So it is really a fallacy to think that because people are professionals, they're a little more scientific or systematic. The jury is really back in on that, and we see that they are as vulnerable, as human as anybody else. So you don't deal only with one, you deal with a group of people like this, teams that are making a decision, and that's very, very complex. The second thing is in industrial markets or B2B, you can create value in many, many ways. In consumer goods, you have a very, very similar way to the market or road to the market for your product. You move through common channels, whether it's supermarket, retail, etc. Whereas in industrial markets, there are all kinds of ways to create value, and today we get even crazy situations like the relationship between a company like Intel Corporation and the manufacturers of computers, where the value is made not by buying the supplier's product and then adding the margin and making money that way, but it's by buying an Intel component and then selling and getting compensated from the supplier called Intel. And if you don't get compensated from the supplier, you will not make money. So there are all kinds of ways that money is made, and you have to understand it when you market to these types of organizations. The third characteristic is that we're dealing with a lot of management functions that if they are not involved, you will not be able to implement a strategy. You're talking about R&D, you're talking about manufacturing, you're talking about human resources. Whereas in B2C, the people in marketing are much more autonomous and they can make decisions and implement it very fast. In B2B, you have sometimes to mobilize the whole organization to have a strategy, which makes it very difficult because you need everybody's support and integration and all the noses aimed at the right direction, the same direction. Otherwise, the strategy doesn't work. Other things, you can go to the market with different channels. You can differentiate on your relationship. Where everybody has the same product, then the relationship makes the difference, and the customer would rather do business with people they like. The customer needs the product, but if everybody supplies the product, then the customer prefers the people they like. So suddenly this becomes not the marketing of the product, but the marketing of yourself as an organization. Then the incestuous relationship where you compete with other companies, yet behind the scene you collaborate with them because none of you can achieve things by themselves in terms of technology, in terms of the costs involved. A lot of negotiation because the transactions are very big and the risk is enormous, so there is negotiation. Transactions are large and risky, as I said. The people issue. When you make industrial marketing or B2B strategy, you, as I described your target organizations, they are really networks of people that you have to influence. But you also work through your own network of people, your salespeople, your technical support people. So we end up as an industrial marketer or a B2B marketer to be, if you want, as a director or a scriptwriter for a theater piece, where there are actors there, and you hope to God that the actors play according to the script that you visualized. And if they don't play according to the script, your strategy doesn't work. Whereas in B2C, you can communicate directly to the end user and drive the whole system through their behavior. Here you depend on two networks of people interacting together. And if your vision and if the tools you use in order to stimulate these people to behave in a certain way if they don't work, then your strategy is simply as good as your weakest tool, and you fail. Then there are other issues that add complexity because of this transfunctionality, the implementation, getting all these people involved, understanding all the pieces, the critical path of where things could go wrong, the leadership issues that come in. And finally, to make it all even more interesting, technology has come into to be a player here and disrupt a lot of processes and a lot of habits that happened in the past. The funny thing is, if you look at my footnote, is that the majority of transactions in any GDP is, or GNP if you want, are B2B transactions. So here is the context. This is the field that from an economic point of view dominates our lives as nations, as individuals. This is where we need marketing know-how more than any other field. And that's why I was attracted to it.